Just go ahead and give us 7 games of this series. Knicks Pacers. The basketball world loves this series.
I feel like you said that after game 1, which is...
Did I?
Yeah, maybe. I don't know.
probably
It's all
did.
blending together, but I'm so with you, Deuce. I feel amped when I'm watching on the couch.
These two teams are leaving everything out there.
Everything.
Pacers get game 3 and a must win for them, 111-106. Knicks still have 2-1, game 4. Sunday afternoon?
Sunday afternoon. Like the thing that makes me hurt just thinking about that, truly, I felt pain watching these guys out there and playing when they were coming up limping after every single possession because of the physicality in this one. I was like, there's no way these bodies are going to be okay by Sunday. Like, there's no way. But
you know what? They wouldn't be okay by next Tuesday either.
You're right.
This is just the
You're
point.
right.
These guys are fighting through it. Add more to the list. Halliburton's limping around after this one, too.
I know.
Seems like everybody's banged up. I just love the effort in this series. And, hey, I know the officiating was a big theme after last game, but they didn't play tonight. This was as physical as it could get.
Yeah.
And I'll be honest, loved it.
Yeah.
Let them play.
Well, I think what we've seen in some of the other series, especially with the Nuggets, we've seen games where it's like, whoa, okay, you guys can blow a whistle or two, where I feel like they're doing a pretty good job of balance in
Wasn't
this series.
perfect. We see some jersey pulling. We see some ticky-tack stuff that gets called. You're like, what, you're calling that?
You see a lot of shit go down still. But I guess the point is you're seeing guys be able to still play through it. It's not just taking over the entire game. And I think you look at the mental toughness of both of these rosters. It's just absolutely fantastic for this series, what we've seen so far. So, yeah, the physicality of the Indiana Pacers coming out again and trying to set that tone early again. I thought they were just going to run away with it with the way this one started.
Yeah, because Tyrese came out super aggressive again. And the adjustment that Carlisle made was starting Nesmith on Brunson. And Brunson, clearly, we all know he's not 100% right now. This guy's fighting through it. His size was definitely a factor. And I thought he did a really good job defending without fouling. This is a guy that gets real foul happy. Mm-hmm. He played physical. He ends up with 3 fouls, and his size definitely impacted Brunson. He made him work. I thought he did everything he could on Brunson.
I agree. I think, making Brunson work as soon as he crossed over the half court line, right? And not only just making him work, okay, we're going to move side to side. It was making his body felt, the physicality. And then when Brunson was trying to get to his spots, because Brunson is obviously not 100%, you could tell his floaters are a little bit different. His shot is a little bit different.
He looks gassed too, to be honest.
So it's a combination, and it's obviously Nesmith stepping pedal to the metal with this and capitalizing on this opportunity.
Well, the Pacers got off to a great start. A little concerning. Brunson comes out the 6:55 mark of the first quarter. Like, oh, shit. Is he okay? He looks frustrated. Towel to the face. He ends up coming back at the 4:09 mark. He finishes this game playing 38 minutes. But for him, that's not that much.
No,
he goes for 26 points. He had 6 assists, but 10 of 26 shooting for him in this one. Not super efficient. He was 4 of 7 at the free throw line, too. Yeah, I thought that adjustment was fantastic by Carlisle, and Nesmith did a hell of a job making him work and staying disciplined. It's so hard, especially with Brunson's physicality.
Yeah.
Brunson's so good at creating contact and getting some calls every once in a while.
Sure.
It worked out, and I think Nesmith maybe got away from with some stuff tonight, but you had to play with that type of physicality. He did just that. Tyrese Halliburton. We gave him praise for his first half in game 2. We loved what we saw.
Yeah.
Then we went, what's going on in the second half? You can't be disappearing. He was really consistent. I loved how he came out aggressive, was hitting threes. He was driving. He had a really strong game. The only caveat I'm going to put on this from a Pacers perspective, I feel like their late game execution in this series, even tonight, not fantastic. It felt like their offense gets stuck in the mud. They've got such a great opportunity here. Mm-hmm. Brunson is not 100%. OG Anunoby didn't play tonight, unlikely to play in game 4.
Yeah.
They got to win these games, and I felt like they didn't do enough to attack the mismatches. And I think part of this falls on Halliburton on the floor, but Carlisle as a coach. Like, they need to create stuff more for Siakam. There's no reason why Siakam can't target Josh Hart, which he did sometimes.
Yes.
Achua can't stay with him,
Right.
who got the start tonight. Hartenstein defended him late. Siakam has to be aggressive. Those two late in the game tonight were really indecisive.
So JJ Redick kept saying this throughout the entire broadcast. And he kept talking about the Pacers offense and how it's a concept offense. It's all about, playing free and just playing with a lot of actions. There's no real plays that are being set and run. And with that, obviously, some of these things are going to happen. Rick Carlisle putting a lot of trust into Tyrese Halliburton doing the right thing, into Pascal Siakam doing the right thing. And that's great. And you can still have that happen, and those guys are going to play great with that type of style of play on the offensive end, and especially because they're a fast-paced team, and when they are pushing, it's great. But when they end up in the half-court offense, they need more. They need more sets. They need some other things that they're going to run. And I think, when we would see if it was TJ with the ball at the top or something, and it's like, you guys need to get the ball to Pascal Siakam. He needs to go to work right now. And it's not about just putting him in ISO, but we know what he can do.
Also, put him in ISO on some of these matchups. OG's not there.
And we know what he's capable of doing against some of these guys in the paint. And let's say he can't get something going, he's going to make the right decision and find the open man.
He had a really good game tonight. Pascal finished with 26 points. He had 7 rebounds, and he didn't foul trouble. He picked 3 fouls, had to sit a lot of the second quarter, but ends up playing 31 minutes, and those are the type of numbers. That's, if I'm a Knicks fan, I'm a bit concerned about Siakam going forward, because Carlisle and the coaching staff can figure some stuff out before Sunday. I feel like this is something that they could take advantage of because of all the issues the Knicks just have with their roster right now because they're so injury depleted. But late game execution was not sharp by the Pacers. I mean, you think about that last play that ended up giving them the lead, right? I mean, Nembhard, who hadn't hit a 3 all night.
Oh my God.
It's the broadcast said the longest 3-pointer of his career. That was off like a broken play, stagnant, where it just looked like they had nothing late in the shot clock.
Yeah, and there was a few moments there a few possessions there at the end, even for the Pacers before that, where it was like they were getting those offensive rebounds. They were getting the tips. They were getting the 50-50 ball. And in that moment, Deuce, I think sometimes the easiest time to shoot a 3 or to make a 3 for a team and for players that are missing some of their shots is usually off an offensive rebound or off of a broken play like that, right? Because then the defense is scrambled a little bit, and in that moment, it was just a deep 3. It was like, all right, I got to take this moment.
I have to.
In my own hands.
I can't think about it. I have to just shoot it. And Nembhard, to his credit, a monster 3. He was having a pretty rough game, but that was a monster 3 that ended up being the game winner. You mentioned the second chance opportunities. I want to point this out.
Yeah.
Fourth quarter, going into the fourth quarter, second chance points for 9-8 Indiana. It ends up being 16-8 Indiana at the end. They had 7 second chance points to 0 in the fourth quarter. That was significant. They had 13 offensive rebounds in this game. They won that battle too. This Pacers team, we've said it, even in the games that they have lost, they have competed more than I think people gave them credit for before the series on the rebounding. Their hustle tonight, their guy stepped up. Turner was pretty much a no-show last game. Siakam was pretty disappointing, and Halliburton had his game, right? But not in the second half.
Yes.
Tonight, all 3 of those guys showed up.
All throughout. And it wasn't just on the offensive end. I felt like on the defensive end, too, there were some really big hustle moments, some really big aggressive moments, some very physical moments. I think one of the big, and I just have to mention this mistake because I hated seeing it. It was when they were trying to throw that double at Brunson at the end, and it was Tyrese running over to it. And it's like he didn't commit to the double. He didn't commit to the blitz. And then he tries to wrap around Brunson. Brunson trips. It's a foul on Tyrese Halliburton. It sends Brunson to the line. He hits 1 of 2. But my point with that, it was just like those little mistakes, if the Knicks were healthy, I feel like would have capitalized completely, would have screwed them over. I know we'll get to free throws for the Knicks because if that was the case and they were actually making their free throws too, they would have been up at that moment after Tyrese had committed that foul. So I think overall, though, the way that the Pacers adjusted defensively, because how many times were we talking about after the last game, you got to play TJ, you got to play Obi Toppin, even for offense. Obi Toppin tonight, I mean, off the bench, he only had 2 points in his 19 minutes. Yep. He had 20 points in 20 minutes last game, right? And then obviously for TJ McConnell, I thought even in his 19 minutes, he was utilized where he needed to be utilized, but they got to depend on some of their starting guys.
Yeah, Miles Turner I thought was great tonight. He had 21, 10, and 3, and he outplayed Hartenstein tonight.
Yeah.
And that was the absolute reverse last game. Hartenstein finished with 6 points, 8 rebounds, 5 assists, and a block in 39 minutes of work. This game had everything. The Pacers go down the fourth quarter. It was, double checking here, okay. 98-89
okay.
at the 9:45 mark. Knicks are up. Pacers just got blitzed in that third quarter when Dante DiVincenzo put on a show, and I know we'll talk about him. But the Pacers finding a way to get back in this game, I feel like that's what goes back to what we're saying. They don't get rattled a lot. The Knicks in the fourth quarter end up making just 4 shots. They were 4 of 19 in the fourth quarter. They were held to 16 points, and that was after they scored a ton of points in that third quarter when they dropped 32 in the third.
Just better basketball from the Pacers there in that fourth quarter especially. And when I say better basketball, I think they did a good job of, like I keep mentioning, the pedal to the metal when they would see guys tired or see guys limping or see that they had a 4-on-5 or 5-on-4 situation, whatever it was. They were connecting with those moments. I mean, Tyrese Halliburton, even defensively, read a passing lane when Jalen Brunson was trying to skip it across the court, steal going the other way. He had some crazy finishes in transition. All these things. They finished. They were just making the right plays. I loved what we saw from the Pacers as of late. And all I'm thinking is like, oh my God, this experience alone and what you can grow off this for the future is just amazing.
I do feel like the Knicks, this was the first time late in the game where like they look kind of tired.
Yeah.
They were getting beat to some loose balls. A lot of their shots were short. They were missing a lot of shots. And they had some mental mistakes where you're just throwing passes that you go, that's not a pass you make normally. Like Jalen Brunson had a bad turnover. DiVincenzo had one.
But it's not only passes that you don't make normally. There's a lot of guys, like especially in this postseason, that you're not used to playing with normally. Tibbs had to go down the bench, obviously, as they keep losing guys. OG not playing. But then not only losing guys, like guys are getting tired. Josh Hart, Mike Breen mentioned it. He goes, my God, he only sat for 4 minutes or whatever it was. And then when he did his interview with Lisa Salters on the side, he's like, you should have let him at least sit down. The guy is definitely not going to sit all game long, but he finally sat a couple minutes, which he hasn't in the last couple of games.
He ends up playing 43 minutes. He was a monster in the glass again. He had 18 rebounds in this game, but 10 points, 4 assists, 2 steals for him. He had to deal with Siakam on both ends, which I think really made life more challenging. Siakam, obviously a difficult cover, but on the defensive end, Siakam's got the length that could be really bothersome for Josh Hart. And I thought in transition, look, he pushed that one time in transition, and it looked like it was going to be a big-time bucket for him. Oh, yeah. Miles Turner with an amazing block shot.
That transition defense, that extra hustle play, that was being made all game long.
This series just, you admire guys stepping up in a big way, not getting rattled. The Knicks tonight, it sucks if you're a Knicks fan. Yeah, you lost the game. You're still up 2-1. But, dude, this team's just so easy to root for. I'm sorry. When I see, like, Alec Burks out of nowhere. I know this guy's a professional bucket getter. He comes off the bench after not really playing, scores 14 points. I thought Deuce McBride had some big moments in this game where he knocked down some crucial shots, played some tough defense. Jericho Sims hadn't played in the playoffs. He got a few minutes in this one. But my point is, it's like, all right, next guy's got to step in and step up. The other guy that was a monster tonight for the Knicks. He's been a monster in this series, Dante DiVincenzo. And this guy in that third quarter had 17 points. He was hitting big shot after big shot, finishes with 35 points, 7 of 11 from three-point land. The Pacers, this is the one thing about them. I think there are times, I don't know if it's a coaching thing or a player thing.
Yeah.
They're worried about helping on Brunson when he's got the ball.
Okay.
They're playing off Dante DiVincenzo. You can't. You can't. He's hit threes all year. He's on fire in the playoffs. There were too many times he got uncontested shit.
I think there was a time when even like Jackson was out along the perimeter, but Dante DiVincenzo was like 2 feet off of the 3-point line, and Jackson, the ball gets passed back to Dante DiVincenzo, and Jackson just kind of puts a hand up, and it's like, oh, no. He can shoot that shit. And he has been shooting that shit. Just ice in his veins.
Yep.
Like, I mean, shooting the hell out of the basketball in this series tonight, and shooting 7 of 11 from beyond the arc. I mean, really kept this team in it, especially when they needed it most, especially when Brunson couldn't get to his spots, when he was coming up hobbling. They needed Dante DiVincenzo's offense.
I want to get your thoughts on Brunson because we talk so much about the job that Nesmith did on him, playing physical, making life more challenging. How do you think he moved tonight? Did you feel like he was laboring out there a lot?
Not a lot. I mean, that's what's wild about
his
this.
facial expression doesn't change.
That's what I need to go. I don't know what Tibbs does to these men in the off season, like what their training is, and do they have to go?
You know what?
Mental training
I don't think it's him.
And conditioning.
It's those Villanova guys. All the Villanova guys play hard.
But no, how do you click it? Like, how do they click? Because I even said to you, when Josh Hart was playing all these minutes again, I go, load management. He's proving that it ain't shit in this league. Like, all you have to do is have a little bit of heart. Yeah. All you have, and I'm obviously that's not just all you have to do. I get it. But my point is, they have a certain thing in their brain, a switch or something, where they can just turn it off. And I think Brunson, I don't know, but I'm sure he's in a lot more pain than he even puts off. And how he carries himself is absolutely amazing. You see on a few plays where he'll kind of come up hobbling a little bit, limping. We don't even know what's really going on with that foot. When we find out, I can't wait to get the details.
I just, this is going to be a tough series. I think it's going to go long. In my head, I go, I think it's going to be tough for the Knicks to win this series without OG. And it doesn't sound like he's going to play in game 4. It's a hamstring. Can you count on him after that? I don't know. In my head, it's like he's not coming back.
Okay.
It is such a big loss for them. It's such a huge loss, not only from a size perspective, defensive versatility, a guy who can guard 1 through 5. He just had one of his best offensive games last game. But then in my head, I'm like, are the Pacers winning 4 in a row? Or do you believe that this Pacers team is capable of going on the road and winning a game 7?
I don't know because even in a game like tonight, there were so many times where once the Pacers went up early on in this game, I was like, oh shit, what's this one going to look like? Then it's like, oh, it's only an 8-point game. Oh, it's only a 4-point game. It's like the Pacers could never really build this huge lead. And even when they did, it never felt that way, right? Or at times it felt like the Pacers were in complete control, but it was only a 4-point lead. So it was still very much a game. And then when the Knicks finally really took control of that game, I was like, oh shit, how are the Pacers going to respond? Fantastic response. That resiliency from the Pacers, though, is what gives me the... Well, I don't know.
Dude, this isn't crazy to say. I mean, the Pacers have been in all these games.
Yeah.
There's a serious case to be made. The Pacers could be up 3-0 in this series.
I know.
Had they executed down the stretch of these games. I think for them, it's about cleaning up the details defensively. The compete level is there, right?
Oh, it's there.
Like, the aggressiveness is there, but you can't have broken plays and allow open shots. That can kill you. And then it's the late game execution stuff that we talked about is they got to dial that in. If they need a bucket late, I know they want to run their offense, but don't be afraid to let Pascal Siakam go to work. Let some help come over. Let him find open guys. You may have to change some things up a little bit. It's going to be a fascinating series. I love it. Both teams are playing with so much heart. This Knicks team, it's like every time I want to count them out, it's like you can't. How many times we go, Brunson, I don't know if that's a good shot.
Yeah.
Boom, makes it.
Oh, I say that. I mean, there's so many times I'm like, there's no way. What?
I mean, the first quarter tonight, when they're down, we're going, yeah, they just don't have enough. It's, Brunson's banged up. OG's hurt. They don't have it.
They don't stop.
And they don't stop coming at you. Even if you're a Pacers fan, you go, you have to kind of respect it too.
Sure. And maybe not right now as you're in this
not
series.
right now. Yeah,
But
good point.
And another thing too, Deuce, I do want to get to because I feel like it's something that we keep forgetting to actually talk about, but you and I always talk shit about it. And it's Pascal Siakam at the free throw line. And Doris Burke even mentioned this. And she goes, does he have the yips at the free throw line? That's what it's starting to feel like. He was 7 of 9.
That was big for him tonight.
Huge.
I think for his confidence. He came into this game shooting in the playoffs like 40-something% from the free throw line.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, obviously he's a better free throw shooter than that, and he was shooting 20-something% from three. Sorry not to be super specific, but he's in the 20s from the three-point land and in the 40s from the free throw line. Not good. He was 1 of 1 from three-point land tonight, 7 of 9 at the free throw line tonight. So Pacers' big three plays big. Brunson gave everything he could. Dante was massive. What do you guys feel like this series? Where do you think it's headed? Do you feel like the Pacers could win 4 in a row?
Oh.
Could they win a game 7 on the road? Or do you think the Knicks still have the advantage? Let us know in the comments below. Let us know something we missed. Hit the thumbs up and subscribe.
Deuce and Mo. Deuce and Mo. Deuce and Mo. They tell you what they know. Deuce and Mo. Deuce and Mo. Deuce and Mo. The podcast that you know.